The Federal and Devaki Specialty Hospital jointly present the Madurai Marathon 2024 Run for Health on Sunday, October 20th, 2024. Entry is free for all.
We are at a critical juncture in Tamil Nadu politics as the elevation of Udhayanidhi Stalin to the post of Deputy Chief Minister has sparked significant debate. This development is not just about the rise of an individual but a larger reflection of the DMK party and how the party positions itself for the future. I have with me my boss, Mr. Srinivasan, the editor in chief of the Federal, and in this short chat with him, we'll explore why this elevation is significant and what it means for the DMK's future and how it could help shape Tamil Nadu's political trajectory. So, thank you for joining. My first question to you is Udayanidhi's elevation to Deputy Chief Minister within 5 years of his formal entry into politics has been notably swift. Comparatively, MP Stalin's rise within the DMK was more gradual, marked by decades of grassroots work before he assumed significant roles. So, how do you view Udayanidhi's rapid ascent within the DMK compared to the much slower rise of his father? Do you believe this speed could pose challenges for him in the long run, both within the party and in public perception?
Yeah, Nisha, thank you for hosting me. I would think that actually this is the most appropriate time for the party to launch Udhayanidhi. You see, recently the DMK celebrated its 75th year of foundation, which is the Diamond Jubilee. And it has seen 75 years has seen father and son. First, it was Karunanidhi who helped the affairs. He was one of the founder members of the party, and he steered it through the early days. And then, effectively, son took over. But of course, as you correctly pointed out, he had to do a long wait before he got an opportunity to take over as the chief minister. But nonetheless, the father-son combined worked together for a number of years. Son ably helped his father. And now, after the son, it's now the rise of the grandson in the form of Udhayanidhi. Now, this comes at a time, as I told you earlier, party has completed 75th year, and probably the party now expects that he will steer the DMK and Dravidian movement into its centenary year. I mean, that's a very significant one for them. Second, the timing is appropriate because if you see the assembly elections are around the corner. After 2 years in 2026, there'll be assembly elections. And the party must be ready with to face that. And it requires a very vigorous campaign because the opposition has become much more tougher for the party. Though the opposition in some ways is divided, but there are new challenges. For instance, Annamalai of BJP is a very active politician and he has managed to stir the political cauldron in the state. Therefore, he's an important, rival for DMK. Also, you have to consider there are others who have risen in the ranks. For instance, actor Vijay, who's launched his own party and could prove a challenge to DMK, and he's a young person. And then you have another actor who's already in the field, Kamal Hassan. He has his own party, though he's allied with DMK. Nonetheless, you see a new crop of political rivals coming for DMK, and Stalin is aging. You could see that, and Stalin's cabinet is also aging. You could see a number of ministers, some of them not even able to walk properly. So they have reached their pinnacle, and I think the time is ripe for changeover and for the next generation to take over. And it's not just Udhayanidhi alone. You see a whole crop of young politicians have taken over the DMK's administration and also the organization. I can at least count you half a dozen ministers and senior officials whose sons have risen along with their fathers. For instance, PTR Parnivel Rajan, his father was a former CM and he's a young minister. For instance, Durai Murugan, who's son of Kadiranand, who's son of Durai Murugan. Then you have Kane Nehru's son, Arun Nehru. So you can actually go on counting. There are at least 5-6 MPs, and there are more MLAs who have risen along with Udhayanidhi, and therefore probably the party feels that it's an appropriate time to elevate him. There's another reason besides what they see externally as a challenge coming from from BJP and from other rivals. Internally also, it's important for the party to look for a leader who could lead successfully in 2026. You see, if the principal rival of DMK right now is AIDMK, and AIDMK doesn't have do not have a charismatic leader. Earlier, you had Jayalalitha, and after her, there is Edappadi, who was a chief minister for a term, but he has not been able to create that kind of charisma. So it's very important in Tamil Nadu politics to have a mix of both, charisma and visibility, and that comes from movie background. Udhayanidhi was earlier an actor, so he is a very visible figure. People easily identify him, and that's very important in politics. And therefore, a certain star value is attached to him, and that comes very handy for the party. So going into the elections, it's much easier to mobilize crowds, mobilize party cadres, and therefore Udhayanidhi for them is a kind of a right timing for them. And therefore, I think that's why the party has taken the decision, because now next 2 years he can be eased. And within the party, there seems to be no major resistance to his elevation. Almost all senior ministers seems to have supported it. And there is one important reason for that. Udhayanidhi had conducted himself as a minister a very, he is actually very restrained. He hasn't actually flexed his muscle or said anything about his seniors, and it has been very restrained. Though there was provocation from outside. If you remember, actor Rajinikanth made a remark which was a direct hit on Durai Murugan and others, saying that, the students in the class are a bit too old and they don't seem to be
Yeah.
promoting themselves to the next level. But when the question was posed to Udhayanidhi, he took it in his stride and just dismissed the question. So he didn't take any of those baits and he remained restrained. So I don't think the seniors also have any major problem with him. And therefore, the elevation has come now.
Sir, a lot of questions stem from what you just said. Let me address one by one. The first one is about the children of the leaders getting tickets. The Chief Minister M.K. Stalin has been giving tickets to the children of senior leaders like Arpat Veerasamy, Durai Murugan, Ponmudi, T.R. Balu, I. Peresamy, and even Anbalagan's grandson. So you said that there is no much resistance within the party for Udhayanidhi's rise, but do you believe the DMK's strategic promotion of the children of senior leaders is helping the party maintain cohesion? Or could this actually lead to resentment within the ranks from those who rise without familial ties?
Well, that's a good question, but you need to look back at regional parties. From Kashmir to Kanyakumari, all the regional parties in India are full of dynasts. Keep aside for a moment Congress party, which faces this criticism from BJP of being a party of dynasts. You take any other regional party, whether it is Abdullahs, whether it is Yadavs in Bihar or in Uttar Pradesh, or you come down, and everywhere you will see that its regional parties are full of dynasts. If one were to consider Mamta Banerjee, we thought that even Mamta Banerjee, initial years looked as if she had no descent, a kind of a dynasty who would take over from her. But she has also readied her, her own dynasty. Even Mayawati, whom we thought that since she would keep out of this, kind of family descendant taking over the reins of the party, even she seems to have fallen to that. Regional parties in India have this characteristic, and in Tamil Nadu, it's DMK, which in some ways he's become such a dynastic party that it is not just only the first family of Karunanidhi and his son and grandson and other extended family members. If you look across, as I pointed out to you earlier, within the cabinet, you will find a number of senior ministers and senior party functionaries whose kids and sons and daughters are in politics and they are in important posts. So it's a very cozy club. It actually serves the purpose. In some way, it's a very close network. And the party so far hasn't seen any outside challenge. But if I recall, there was one such challenge during Karunanidhi's period. Vaiko, who came up as a very dynamic young leader, did challenge Karunanidhi because he that time suspected that Stalin could be made as the next, a kind of a chief ministerial, he could be the next person in the order, and he opposed it. But unfortunately, what happened? Vaiko had to leave the party. and he had to launch his own political party, uh, you know, and for a number of years he remained in wilderness because of that. So it's not as if an attempt was not made in the past. It was, it didn't succeed, but now politicians here seem to have more or less, uh, you know, settled down to this fact that okay, the party is full of dinners and their children. You never know if somebody else comes up. At least one politician who has come up, who was a former police officer and he has no background in politics, is Annamalai, and he has managed to make some, noise in the state. So you never know, but as of now, DMK doesn't have any such talent.
In your previous answer, you also said that there is no much resistance, and which is quite true. Udayinidhi's rise seems to be backed not just by his father, but also by the party's acceptance of dynastic politics. So, to what extent do you think Udayinidhi Stalin's political rise is tied to his family legacy? Is his success more a product of DMK's internal strategy, or is there a real connection with the grassroots?
Well, as I told you earlier, the connection with the grassroots come in the form of, see, it's a cadre-based party. So first, the cadres have to accept the leader. Though it's a cadre-based party, the cadre are all, divided in various district units. And again, the district units are held by various leaders. And therefore, it's a network of all these people together. And in the grassroots, there is a certain, when I say grassroots, not in general, I'm saying grassroots of DMK, grassroots political workers of the party. I don't think they have any major problem accepting him. Rather, they see him as some kind of a future leader who will lead him into the next generation. Unfortunately, the dinners, though there is so much talk outside, and the middle class especially despises dynasty, and BJP has been making a lot of noise about it. More or less in India, the political system is very feudal in nature. People very quickly accept, one's son taking over from his father, or a daughter taking over from his father. And it's not just politics. Politics is the worst case, which we seem to, which gets more light. You see any aspect of any profession, and there is a transition which happens from generation to generation within the family. And you would see that that's the nature of perhaps our society, and in some ways, reflection of the polity.
That's true. So Udayinidhi has garnered both attention and controversy, particularly with his remarks on Sanatana Dharma and his handling of public discourse. How do you think his comments on Sanatana Dharma and other controversies have shaped his public image? Is he being seen more as an ideologue, or do these remarks overshadow his work as a politician?
Yeah, personally, I won't see him as an ideologue. Is the two remarks which he particularly made. One would go in his favor, one against. The one remark which he made, which particularly put him in a hot spot and he became a bit controversial, was the comment on Sanatana Dharma, and saying that the Sanatanis should be, like they should be muzzled like killed like mosquitoes, something like that. He said, and this was seen as a call for mass genocide in the north. And he said it in the middle of elections, and it had a sharp reaction from Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, and other what we call normally as a Hindi belt, or rather a cow belt areas. The politicians are damn angry, and they thought that Sanatana Dharma is being put down. I don't think he was able to make a very fine ideological distinction. Probably what he meant was something else. When he referred to Sanatana Dharma, he wasn't referring to, Hinduism per se. He was more focusing on Hindutva, but then he wasn't articulate enough to clarify that or subsequently say what he meant by his controversial remark. But it did one thing. Udhayanidhi, who was till then was only known in this Tamil Nadu state, instantly came to be known as a leader, as a dynast, son of Stalin, all over India. He suddenly got one national image, right or wrong. the national image got immediately built because of this one particular controversy. Within the state, his followers, especially DMK, the party cadre, seemed to be, really liking the way he rose, because they thought, oh, finally, our leader's son has risen. They took it positively. But in the north, there was a lot of hatred. They were pretty angry over this. But it didn't matter to him because electorally he was focusing, and his father was focusing more than Tamil Nadu. But the other remark which he made turned out to be very positive for him, is that the action of holding high a brick in the middle of a campaign, and he symbolized as inaction of the center and its biased attitude toward the state of Tamil Nadu, and not giving them enough funds, or not giving timely funds to build AIMS in Madurai. And that symbolic gesture became a talking point in the last election campaign. So these two significant public outings have two different fallouts for him, one positive, one negative. But as far as the cadres are concerned, all publicity is a good publicity.
True. Now let's come to the criticisms of the development. So the BJP and the ADMK has been highly critical of Udhayanidhi's rise and calling it an example of dynastic politics and questioning his political maturity. So how do you think the opposition's criticisms, particularly from the BJP, will affect Udhayanidhi Stalin's long-term political career? Could these attacks actually strengthen his position within the DMK and among his supporters?
Yeah, I do agree that there will be a sharp reaction from BJP. Already they have reacted. The statements have come, and when Annamalai comes back from his sabbatical, he is going to be doubling down on Udhayanidhi, and it actually makes him Udhayanidhi a better rival than his father, because Annamalai wasn't very effective in attacking his father as much as he could to Udhayanidhi. But then it cuts both ways. Udhayanidhi also can give a answer or two. In fact, it is going to be a generational shift as far as the number one leadership in Tamil Nadu is concerned. Now it's very clear that more or less Udhayanidhi is the next leader of the party, and going forward, the next chief ministerial candidate. And who are the rivals? Vijay, actor, is another one. Annamalai is another one, and Seaman, who has a film background. He was a film movie director and also acted in some movies. Who runs his own Nam Tamizhar Katchi, is another young person. And then please don't forget, Kamala Hassan is also somewhere lurking around. He's not so old. So there is a generational shift which has happened in Tamil Nadu politics, and this new crop of politicians have taken over, and therefore their contest will be much more fierce. And I'm sure this is not going to be based so much on ideology, but more on personality, and that's a change that has happened. But this is not unusual for Tamil Nadu. In the past, you have seen film stars and film actors playing a very crucial role, whether it is MGR, whether it is Jayalalitha. Even there is a certain film background which Karunanidhi had. All those leaders have in the past enjoyed a certain limelight because their association with the cinema industry. So this is what current generation is, and it's a new generation which has come up.
Another question, something similar to the last one, was Annamalai also a reason for Udhayanidhi's rapid growth? Was DMK forced to field a young face because of Annamalai?
Yeah, that's a good question. You see, Annamalai's sudden rise has certainly, woken up DMK. Though there are other reasons which I listed, that besides Annamalai, other leaders have also come up. Yes, to pose an effective challenge to him, Udhayanidhi would be seen as a better bet. And in some ways, it could be a reaction to that. But I won't attribute all of that to only to Annamalai's rise, as I listed a number of other reasons for strengthening the party organization, for strengthening the government, and looking towards facing electorate in 2026, and other challenges. They have positioned grandson to take the party into the 100 years of its journey. One more important development I think we must note here. Uh, there has also been a simultaneous cabinet reshuffle, and they have included Govi Sherian as a minister who's from a Dalit background. With that, now there are four Dalit ministers in the cabinet. And this is important. Why they have done this? Because there has been a pressure from the allies. Vidudalai Chirutai Kachi or VCK has been putting pressure, demanding a certain share in power. So is Congress. So are other allies of DMK. I think this is an effective answer by promoting one more Dalit. So the cabinet now has four ministers. I think it's an important political development as well.
So now that you spoke about this, I may ask one more question. So there were also instances where Congress was saying, once upon a time, we gave DMK seats, and then we had recent issues with VCK person also giving bold statements. So how does all this play when such an important development has been happening in DMK as well as in Tamil Nadu government?
Look, it was very clear from the beginning that this whole alliance of DMK, it will hold together. There was never a worry of alliance ever breaking, and this is one of the longest alliance and a very steady alliance which has seen through the parliament election before the assembly election. Probably it will see the next assembly election also. I think all the allies have realized the benefit they reap from each other. And the next election also, they will all go together because ideologically they are opposed to BJP. Also, the VCK has a problem. If they want to switch to the other side, they have a very little elbow room which they will get because there is another party on the other side which is ready to replace them, which is Patali Makal Kachi, PMK. So I think who's a staunch rival of VCK? I don't think VCK is in any mood to leave the party or do anything. All these noises which you heard in these months basically are kind of pressure tactics within the alliance to seek more legroom, more space within the forum. And that will also be helpful for them when they negotiate seats in the next 2026 assembly elections.
Thank you for your time, sir. Viewers, this is a developing story, so stay tuned with us for more updates. Thank you.
The Federal and Devaki Specialty Hospital jointly present the Madurai Marathon 2024 Run for Health on Sunday, October 20th, 2024. Entry is free for all.